Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Ragasudha, Head and Assistant Professor, Department of Microbiology, Government City College, Hyderabad, is here to talk on human microbiome. Human microbiome is a quite interesting topic. What are microbes? These are tiny living organisms such as bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses. While microbiome is a collection of all these microorganisms present in a particular community, whether it is human beings, plants, animals. When it is pertaining to human beings, it is known as human microbiome. If it is plants, it is known as plant microbiome, etc. While biofilms are a community of microbes that live together on a surface. And metagenomics is collection of genes or genomes in an environment. This is how the human microbiome appears. The Human Microbiome Project says the human body has 100 trillion microscopic life forms living in it. The problem: who am I versus who are we? The Human Genome Project started in 1990. It provides a basis to understand how the human genome relates to health and disease. However, the number of microbe cells are 10 times more than that of human cells in a human being. This clearly indicates that microbes play a crucial role in human health and development. Microbes are all over us. There are millions of microbes per square inch in our body. Thousands of different species on the skin alone. Some thrive on dry patches of the elbow, others thrive in the moist environment of armpit. The number of microorganisms at various regions of the body varies. Like armpits and groin, the number of microorganisms are high when compared to the soles. It is estimated that there are more microbes in your intestine than human cells in your body. The sites that harbor normal flora are skin, mucous membranes, upper respiratory tract, gastrointestinal tract, outer opening of urethra, external genital, vagina, external ear canal, external eyes, lids, eyelids, and conjunctiva. So, we are covered with microbes. How dense they are? The questions are how dense they are, who are they, where did they come from, do they all matter? Democracy, dictatorship, or socialism? So, what is the association of these microbes with us? Can they be moved, transplanted, adjusted? Do they change when we become sick? When they change, do they make us sick? So, these are the various questions to be answered while studying microbiomes. What factors determine the species composition of normal flora in human body? Like the skin is harbored by more by staphylococci, whereas respiratory tract by streptococci. Intestines are harbored by firmicutes and coli. So, what makes them specific? What type of microorganism is found at which region and why? So, this is influenced by various factors like dispersal air, closed, whether it is airy region, closed or limited community, abiotic factors like pH, temperature, oxygen, moisture, nutrient levels, disturbance regimes, biotic factors like other microbes which are present on the regions, and types of cell secretions of the human. These factors highly influence the type of microorganisms present on the various regions of human body. How many different organs are normally in our body? Mouth bears more than 600 species, skin bears more than 600 species, intestine, colon and cecum bears 8,000 genera, vagina bears more than 200 species. An overview of microbiome of a human system, like the skin has the skin is the most largest organ of a body, and it bears more number of microorganisms. And when compared to skin, genitourinary system represents the small cylinder, followed by respiratory system and followed by digestive system. When it comes to systems, digestive system bears the most number of microorganisms. Well, compared to number of microbiomes with that of human genes, the human genome is comprised of 23,000 genes, while human microbiome comprises of more than 1 lakh plus genes. The bacterial cells outnumber your body cells in a ratio of 10 is to 1 and comprises to 4 to 6 lbs of your body mass. Benefits of normal flora. They synthesize and excrete vitamins like K and B12, prevent colonization of pathogenic microorganisms. They compete with these pathogenic microorganisms for the attachment sites and essential nutrients. Many antagonize other bacteria, means they inhibit the growth of other microorganisms by producing some inhibitory substances like bacteriocins, peroxidases, fatty acids, etc. They stimulate the development of certain tissues like intestines. They help in digestion and certain lymphatic tissues and capillary density. They stimulate the production of cross-reactive antibodies. Low level of antibodies are produced against components of normal flora are known to cross-react with certain related pathogens, thereby preventing infection or invasion of pathogenic microorganisms. So the next question is, do microbes talk with each other? And the answer is yes. How do they communicate with each other? They interact with each other by signals and respond to the signals by using chemical language. This phenomenon is known as quorum sensing. Quorum sensing signals are called autoinducers. All autoinducers are chemical language signals to one another. Quorum sensing is a system of stimulus and response correlated to the population density. Many species of bacteria use quorum sensing to coordinate gene expression according to the density of their local population. The picture of bacterial quorum sensing by it's an individual bacteria with low cell density producing some indicator signals so that aggregation of other similar microorganisms at a particular location takes place, which is known as group behavior. Example for autoinducers are N-acetyl homoserine lactone produced by gram-negative bacteria like Pseudomonas aeruginosa, oligopeptides of gram-negative bacteria like gram-negative bacteria, and it's also produced by Staphylococcus aureus, a gram-positive bacteria. Autoinducers too for interspecies communication. So this is particularly used for interspecies communication, different type of bacteria like gram negative bacteria and gram positive bacteria, or different species of gram negative or gram positive bacteria. And other autoinducers are like Pseudomonas quinoline signals. Followed by Human Genome Project. After more than a decade or so, in 2007, Human Microbiome Project has started. It is a strategy to understand the microbial components of the human genetic and metabolic landscape and how they contribute to normal physiology and predisposition to disease. The goals of Human Microbiome Project is to determine if there are sets of microbes common in each human, understand if changes in our microbiota results in different states of health or diseases, to develop new technologies for studying complex microbial and studying complex microbial systems within their natural environments, begin to deal with the legal, ethical, and social complications that may arise with human microbiome. The concept and the core of Microbiome. The core human microbiome is highly variable. It depends on the host life cycle, host genotype, host physiology, host immune system, transient community members, then host environment and host pathobiology. All these factors attribute for a human microbiome. What do the microbes do for us? They provide the ability to harvest nutrients. They produce additional energy otherwise inaccessible to the host. They produce vitamins. They metabolize xenobiotics, provide resistance to tumors and cancers leading to neoplasms, assist in developing a mature immune system. Let's focus on the microbial community in the gut. How is the community assembled? How does community composite or effect functions? If we observe the gut microbiome, the number of microorganisms is influenced by the pH gradient. Stomach, which consists of acidic pH, has 10 to the power of 2 cells per ml. Duodenum, where the pH is 5 to 7, still acidic. Uh, the microbes are from 10 to the power of 2 to 4 cells per ml, whereas jejunium, which is basic, 7 to 9, the number of microorganisms raised from 10 to the 4 to 5. Ileum, still basic, 7 to 8. The number of microorganisms are 10 to the power of 8 cells per ml, whereas colon, where the pH is again acidic, 5 to 7, we find 10 to the power of 11 cells per ml. The intestinal microbe, more than 1,000 species, but most in adults are from two phyla, exclusively from Firmicutes and Bacteroides. Outnumber human somatic cells factor of 10 to the power of 2. The total weight, the influence weight up to 1 to 2 kgs, and 60% of total fecal content is of microorganisms. Concentration is 10 to the power of 12 per gram in colon, and total is 10 to the power of 14, approximately 10 to the power of 14 in the intestine. When does these microbes enter the human body? Well, does it start in the mother womb or after the birth? The microbiome, early gut colonization has 4 phases. At phase 1, it is sterile gut. Phase 2, that is inside the mother's womb, the gut is sterile, and immediately after birth, the baby acquires the flora from vagina, feces, and hospital. Phase 3, breastfeeding or bottle feeding. The type of microorganisms vary here. If it is breastfeeding, bifidobacterium is up to 90% of the flora. Bottle feeding, we have more diverse type of microorganisms from bacteroids, clostridial species. Phase 4, start when the solid food starts then it moves to the adult flora, like bifidobacterium remains the key flora in adulthood. Adult microbe, increasing diversity of flora as we age. In some new PCR 16S rRNA studies, up to 92% of the flora in adults were novel species. Serial stool collections show remarkable stability by an individual. Greatest concorded with twins, less concord with households, host genetic influence unexplored. Conclusion of human microbiome. The human microbiome and the microbiome project research has just begun. Gut flora, by their genes, by products, and metabolic activity influences our metabolism, weight, activity, immunity, health, and disease. Manipulation of gut flora may be an integral part of weight loss programs and different disease treatments in future. Further studies must focus on mechanisms that influence of our gut flora. Studies must be placed to control, and high quality research should be done. Truly need translational science to work at the level of the petri dish, genomics, and clinical outcomes. Hope much more to come. Thank you. This video is made from the slide share prepared by Ms. Rashmi. So I thank Rashmi for helping me in making this video. Thank you all.